Hello viewers, welcome to Go Vegan. In the last episode, I was telling you that I am in a vegan restaurant called Jumping Beans, which is located in Kerpuram. And yes, today also I am in the same place. It's a beautiful vegan restaurant encouraging vegan products, whoever are liking to turn vegan or also who are non-vegan. And today, I am with another vegan guest, Ritika. Let us welcome her to the show and know what are her views and thoughts about veganism. Ritika, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, first of all, I would like to get your introduction. What are you into? What are you studying?
So, like you said, my name is Ritika and I'm a student right now. I'm doing my master's in psychology. And I've been vegan in August. It will be 2 years that I'll be completing my vegan journey. And I've been an activist. As soon as I turned vegan, I started getting involved in activism itself.
Okay. So how did you come to know about veganism? How did it start?
So for me, actually, when I was in undergrad, during the college fest, there was this organization called Society for Animal Rights and Veganism. So it started by Abhay Rangan. So he had a stall in college actually. So my sister went to his stall and she spoke to him over there about veganism, and she found out about the dairy industry, and she was not having meat, but she didn't know about milk and the cruelty behind milk products. So she turned vegan immediately after talking to him, and when she came home she started telling all of us at home about it. It took me about like a good 8 months. Okay. Because so in my family, like my dad's side is Mallu, my mom's side is Bengali, so both are two heavy meat eating sides. So it was there was a lot of resistance at home initially, but it took me 8 months to actually let the message sink in and be able to approach it with an open mind. But she was just she just constantly kept instilling the message in us, and over time now I'm vegan, my brother is vegan, my mom has turned vegetarian and hopefully soon vegan. So like she's been instrumental in changing not just us in the family, but starting the activism scene in Bangalore, not starting really, but bringing it to the level that it is today. Because when she would do activism, it was just 2-3 people who would go, and now we have 20-25 people coming because of that consistency that's been maintained. So it was really all like thanks to my sister Richa that all of it happened for us.
Okay, that's cool. And I personally, when I think about veganism, what I feel is you need to be really conscious of even what you're eating, what you're wearing, and you may have to live a very sober or simple life. Do you really feel that?
So the thing is, veganism in and of itself is a social justice movement that just aims at not commodifying animals in any form. So whether it's food or clothing or experimentation products that are tested on animals or entertainment. Minimalistic lifestyles, I wouldn't call that veganism, because veganism is just about not using animals. So, but of course you don't stop growth just because you turn vegan. So there's always so much more that you can do to help the environment, to reduce your carbon footprint and all of that. So I wouldn't necessarily club it with veganism. So it's not a necessity to being vegan as long as you're not using animal products. But yeah, we can always be more conscious of the way we live in so many other areas as well.
Okay. Okay. And also, if you are a vegan, you also may be called as a conservationist, is what I feel. But there is a lot of difference being a conservationist really and a vegan. So how would you define it?
So the thing is, like I said, a lot of people, they do become more conscious of other areas of their life once they go vegan. I know personally it happened for me. I was always conscious about other social justice issues as well, and I tried to be as eco-friendly as possible. But once I went vegan, that consciousness was just so much more in terms of the impact that I was having. So if you're talking about conservation, like from just an environmentalist, it doesn't really make sense if you're not tackling one of the largest contributors to, you know, the environmental degradation, because animal agriculture, it's been shown that it's the leading cause of ocean dead zones, greenhouse gas emission, species extinction and all of that. So every little thing that we do, of course, helps. But it doesn't, so if you have 10 problems and one is the largest problem, it makes sense to tackle that first. So I would say that being an environmentalist without being vegan doesn't really do justice to the environmental cause that people are fighting for, because it's not tackling the biggest issue. But for me, I've become more conscious of the environment, of other social justice issues as well after going vegan.
Right.
So I try to incorporate that in my life. So veganism is one thing that I am doing, and I am an activist, but I also work towards other issues like, you know, living more eco-friendly and things like that.
Right. Okay. As you just said that you're a student, you're studying, the awareness in these young generations who are the next citizens of our country is really important, is what I feel. And you being a student, convincing your friends or anybody else in your surrounding becomes a really challenging task, is what I feel, because convincing a student is really hard, and if once he's convinced, it's on the go, is what I can say. So how would you feel, and how did you take this journey?
So for me, when I initially started doing activism, it was street activism. But then we have expanded to do a lot more kinds of activism. So people feel like, you know, the only form of activism is street activism. But that's not the case, because activism is just speaking up for them at every opportunity you get. So it's fine if you can't travel to a central location to do it. Wherever you are speaking up for them, that in itself becomes activism.
Right.
So for me, we've started a group for Bangalore specifically called the Bengaluru Brigade for Animal Liberation.
Oh, wow.
So I'm one of the co-organizers for that. So we focused in different areas. So street outreach is just one of the areas. We also do college lectures, and that has always been so much more effective, because you're getting that full hour to talk to a class, and we follow it up with the question answer round.
Okay.
And so, you know, a lot of doubts also get cleared in that sense.
Right.
So I've personally felt that college lectures have been the most effective, because youngsters, they are still open to new information, they are open to challenging their beliefs. And it's always been a more fruitful experience for me as well as for them. Like, I haven't done that many lectures, just 5 so far. But, you know, we keep trying to contact colleges and get them to allow us to do a lecture. And the response from that has always been better.
Okay.
When students see that, okay, other students are also in this field and doing this, and because a lot of people talk about social injustices, and we feel helpless a lot of the times, but there's so many social issues where we can't directly do anything about it. Whereas this is one thing, it's so empowering, because this is one thing where we can actually play a direct role in ending this injustice. And that's what I think connects with a lot of people. Of course, like anything else, there are people who are resistant to it, but it's always been more positive, because people feel like, okay, this is something that they can actually do something about to change. So that's been really helpful.
Okay. We were talking to Ritika, and we shall continue talking to Ritika, but after this short break. And if I may ask you, any one such instance which you would like to, share with our viewers, like how Anything good or bad? How did you convince, and what was the counters you had got back? And
in street outreach also we've faced a lot of people. So when we were at activism once, a man just walked up to us and he was about to enter KFC. And he told my sister, you have 2 minutes to convince me why I shouldn't enter KFC.
Right.
And when someone walks up to you like that and says you have 2 minutes, it's scary.
Right.
You have to give it your best and you have to include as much as you can.
Yes.
So she spoke to him, and after that he was shocked because, like I said, this is information that the corporations are actively suppressing from us. People don't really know what happens for milk, what happens, and there's a reason that all these industries are so far removed from the general population. So after he spoke to her, he was shocked and he literally turned around and he walked away. He was like, I'm not going, and he's been helping us get lectures in colleges after that. So that was amazing. Then even in another place where I was doing a college lecture, and so the class, they had a lot of questions, and 2 people in the class, I felt like they would definitely change because I could just see it on their face that they were shocked.
Right.
And then about 2 weeks later, I had gone for a party and I ran in, I bumped into those 2 people, and they were vegan that time. So that was amazing. So I got to meet them, and they were telling me about how they had stopped after the college lecture that I did. So that was really rewarding.
Made you really
yeah.
of your
because so many times you come across people who argue and it can feel a little disheartening.
Right.
But these examples of people actually making a change really reinforces us to know that we are making a difference, and every person changed is that many animals saved.
Okay, so when we talk about this vegan food and all that, I would say vegan food would be our future food. So what do you think?
I completely agree. It's definitely gonna be the future for sure. And just the fact that, just a few years back, if you walked into a restaurant, people would probably not even know what the word vegan means.
Yes.
But now you walk in and, even if it's 1 or 2 vegan options, restaurants are still looking to incorporate those options. Most people, they are still aware of what the term means, even if not the details, they at least know that, okay, vegans are people who don't use any animal products and stuff like that. And there are also companies, the pace of the change is happening much faster abroad than it is over here.
Okay.
But the thing is that there are also companies that are actually, at least abroad, companies that are actually diverting their product line.
Okay.
Elmhurst Dairy was one of the biggest milk producers,
Okay.
and after 90 years, they've changed to producing only plant-based milk.
Oh, wow.
So that's amazing. Yeah. And also, I think people realize that it's not sustainable to keep relying on animal products. So if for nothing else, the fact that it's not sustainable to continue this and it's going to affect our future will make them change. And even though the alternatives might be much faster abroad. So over here in India, if you look at a lot of our traditional food, it's vegan by default. It may not be labeled vegan, but unlike abroad where they're used to having, steaks as the main dish and salad as a side, over here we're used to having rice, rotis and a whole lot of vegetables, and, the side dish is, meat or something like that. So people say that it's hard and things like that, but actually if you look at it, most of the things we may not label vegan, but it's just vegan by default. We just don't think about it like that. So the alternatives, in terms of plant-based milk, mock meat and stuff, it is available here. Maybe there's, to make it accessible to everyone, there's still time that's needed to do that.
It's time taking.
But yeah, so there's still time that's taken to do that, but that's the point. You don't need alternatives to be vegan. So for me, 2 years initially, because it was a change, I would, have vegan curd, vegan milk, but over time, you can get all your nutritional requirements from just the whole foods itself.
Yeah.
You don't need alternatives. So of course, if you want alternatives, that's a different thing.
Okay, that's out of choice.
Yeah, that's out of choice. But veganism in itself doesn't require you to have alternatives in order to be vegan. So,
But maybe in that part we will have to concentrate on what is on our plate, say the whole food. Are we having really a healthy kind of a diet, etc. So if we are that concentrating on what is in it, then I think it's really fine.
you can meet your nutritional requirements from plant-based sources.
Right. Okay. And finally, if you want to summarize your journey or you want to convey any message to our viewers, what would it be?
I think I'd have to say just research more about veganism. I know that at least 99% of the human population does believe that, they would fight against injustice. I don't think people are inherently cruel. It's just that they've been conditioned to believe that this is normal, that this is okay. And as social beings, we tend to do whatever the norm in society is. But just because it's what the majority does doesn't make it right.
Yes.
And if people truly looked into the information, they did a little research, I'm sure they would not support this, because we do believe that, we are moral beings and we would fight for what's right.
Probably what I would say is each and every person just needs that small determination and that time to know what is actually happening. Sure. And if that is given, I think it can be easily achieved.
For sure. And the thing is, it's just about doing the research. Very often people are hesitant to even, get to know the information. Yes. So just go into it with an open mind, because what you will take back from it is a lot more if you're open to actually listening to the information.
It was really nice having you on the show and sharing so much of information and sharing your thoughts about veganism. Thank you very much, Ritika.
It's a pleasure being here.
So viewers, this was today's Go Vegan. Veganism always has this motto of live and let live. See you in the next episode with lot more information regarding veganism. Until then, stay tuned.